Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about physical obedience and fasting and prayer. And we've talked about both these stories before. Well, also before I start, I want to say sorry for not doing a video on Tuesday, but I'm here today. I'm going to do this. And, if you remember on the Sabbath day, especially a lot in Matthew when we're reading, Jesus, he would go up on the Sabbath day and he would sit there and pray to God on that hill. He would go to that hill and he would pray repeatedly to God. He would sit there and pray, and he would not eat or anything for the entire day. And, the disciples would wait at the bottom. A lot of times, sometimes they would go up there, but he would sit there and pray all day. And, that is fasting and prayer. That is giving yourself up physically, and you are fasting and praying. Fasting, you are not eating anything that is good. You're eating just vegetables or something like that, or you're just not eating at all. You're giving yourself up physically for God, and you're doing nothing but praying and reading the Bible. People do that all the time. I remember this one guy doing it, and they would do it. They did it for an entire weekend, and he ended up going. And this dude, before him and a group of guys at the church fasted, he would sit there and pray for hours. I mean, I think he said like 14 hours. And he would want to pray and be like Moses. I can't remember. He asked for something that Moses did in this Bible. Look it up. Moses, after he got done praying, he was glowing in the face, in the hands. He was glowing, glorifying. He was bright. He was shining, like how Jesus would be in heaven. And he ended up shining, in his face, and he looked up in the mirror and he was like, whoa, what, it's crazy. And the pastor walked by him and he said, do not look in the mirror. Let me think of what else he said, because, you will get basically lost in yourself. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was glowing like Moses after, 14 hours of sitting there praying. The dude did not eat. He sat in a bathroom and just prayed and prayed. They did it again. He went to a restaurant after that weekend of fasting, and he was glowing again, and people were looking at him, like, whoa, what the heck? This guy is glowing. He asked for this from this. I'm not saying Jesus is going to make you glow like that when you're fasting, but he will answer his prayers, because when you're doing it, when you're sitting there fasting, he knows whatever you're praying for, you want extremely bad, or you need it really bad. So, good purpose comes out of it. Whether, even if you just skipped a meal or something and you decide just to do it for an hour or whatever. But here, Moses is going up against the Amaleks. They were fighting against them. And God told him to go up upon the hill and lift your hands towards heaven in a physical posture, and that fasting type of way, and that him praising God like this. He's lifting his hands up. They even stuck stones under his hands here in verse 12. And, it says here in verse 11, it came to pass when Moses held up his hands that Israel prevailed, winning, victorious. And when he let his hands down, Amalek prevailed. Not only is he winning this war outside in the world, that as he can see, as he's looking down off this hill, he's winning the world in the unseen world, right? When his hands would come down, the angels would pull off and they would begin to lose the war. But when his angels when his hands went up, he would begin to win the war. So the angels were coming in this unseen world that we cannot see, because he's giving praises to God, because God told him to do it. He would do it. As you can see, Moses was listening to God. That's something people need to work on today. He was lifting his hands up and he was listening to God. He was praising God. And the angels would come in, God commanding, and Moses would begin to win this war. And the Amuleks would lose it. That's why they put the stones in his hands to keep them up. And anybody who would lift their hands up for a while, your blood would start to run on your hands, and you'd end up, you get your hands amputated. This war didn't last, 30 minutes. This war went on for hours. I'm pretty sure even days. It's been a while since I read this story, but he kept it up, and Jesus, God, you could tell God was helping him, because he would have had to get his arm cut off. Obviously, his arm would turn purple and all that, but God knew he was doing it for him. He was listening to what God was saying, and he was raising his hands, and God kept his hands. He kept the blood in there and everything. So he's giving this physical posture to God. He's praising God because God told him to do it. He's giving this obedience to him, and so he won this war. There's a battle going on in your head. There's a constant war, constant tugging against versus the demons versus the angels. It's what you do that will help you, the angels, prevail, or vice versa. Giving this physical obedience for God, and that this counts in reading the Bible every single day, doing what you can physically, spiritually, whatever you can. Taking away things. I'm not just talking about food, stuff that you're greatly desired to, taking them out of the picture and replacing it with God will show Jesus that whatever you're asking for, that you want or need abundantly, and he will grant you with that. And as we look at another person, this would be Daniel. Before I get into some more of his fasting, he was in a lion den. If you remember, the entire point he was in this lion den was because he was fasting. Daniel fasted, I think, more than anybody in the Bible. And sorry, let me get this off my book. These guys tricked the king into basically whoever praised God would be thrown into the lion den. Lions, hungry lions, big lions that would eat people, shred people up. They caught Daniel, and Daniel was a good friend of the king, fasting and praying. He gave up anything for God, and he's constantly, always fasting for Jesus, constantly praying, praising God through the prayers and stuff. And they cast him into the lion den. You remember, here in verse 22, it says, my God hath sent his angels, again, in the unseen world, because he is giving up things physically for God, and he's even in this lion den, starving, stuff like that. He is giving this. So in the unseen world, the angels come in. God hath sent his angels, and hath shut the lions' mouths, that they had not hurt me for as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. He's saying, I've done no hurt. I've praised the one true king, the one God. I've given him everything that, I've fasted and prayed daily. He would do this all the time, and he would do it even in line, and he was willing to die for it. He didn't care. He knew the rule from the king, but he continued to do it anyways because it was for God. And that shows his love for God, and this is God showing his love back to him. He sent his angels down in this unseen world because he was fasting and praying, and he shut the lions' mouths. These angels would keep them closed, so they would not hurt Daniel. Daniel would slept with them and everything. You see, I'm not saying you're always going to get something in return, but God will protect you from something. Something great will happen, and this is proof of it. Another story about Daniel, like I said, he fasted and prayed a lot. What does this say in verse 2? And in those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. 3 weeks. I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth. wine as in grape juice. Neither did I anoint myself at all until 3 whole weeks were filled. He had this 3 weeks. He ate vegetables and stuff that really wasn't pleasant to him. Pleasant, desirably. Pleasant is being used as desirably. I ate no desirable bread, neither came flesh. You desire things, like I was saying earlier, that you want, and he would give these up. So he's eating this not good. He's probably drinking nothing but water. I mean, you try these things. This is another way of fasting. Try just eating vegetables and drinking water for 3 whole weeks. And we skid down here. He's sitting here, he's fasting, he's praying, he's not eating anything good or drinking anything good, pleasant, is used for desirably. I ate no desirably bread, so nothing desirable. And down here in verse 10, it says, and behold, an hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon my palms of my hands. He's on his hands and his knees. He felt the hand of this unseen angel that he has not seen before. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto you, and stand upright, for unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood and trembled. He stood and trembled before this. O man, O David, a man greatly beloved. Greatly beloved is another word for desirably. So, in this sense, Daniel is fasting and praying, giving these things up for God, giving desirably bread, food, whatever, wine, these desirably things. And God says, oh, Daniel, you are greatly desired. You are desired by God. Showing his appreciation to Daniel for what he has done for him, the praises that he has done for him. That is a way you can bless God and be desired by him, is praise him daily and giving up these desirably things. You're going to win this battle in the unseen world because, the more you do for God, the more he protects you. Example, I was listening to this one guy. He said, I heard a saying, it's called higher levels, higher devils. Higher you go with God, the higher you're going to be more tempted. But he said that the way he sees it is it's almost praising the devil. Because you're saying, oh, I don't want to get too high, because then the devil will know who I am and he'll come for me. And the devil already knows who you are. He knows who everybody is. What the devil's worried about is the people you're going to speak to and the example you're going to show for God and the praises that you're going to give to God. That's why he comes after Christians more. He tries to tempt them more. He says the way he sees it, if you have a general, 5-star rating, 5-star general, compared to this just regular soldier, who's going to be protected more, this general or this soldier? Who's protected in the United States? When you see the President of the United States come out the White House, he's got tons of guys, military, Secret Service agents, all of them surrounding him. He says higher levels, higher angelic protection, angel protection. The higher you go, the more angels that God is going to surround you with to protect you. It is up to you who you're going to let prevail. Are you going to let these angels protect you and let yourself be desired by God, or are you going to let the devil win and you fall down? Everybody's going to sin, but now is the time to get back up and keep going. Start to fast. You don't necessarily have to take away food. What is something you desire? Something you desire. Take that out of your life for a week and replace it with God. Do what Daniel did here. He did not anoint himself. He did not clean himself. He ate nothing but vegetables, which are basically food that people do not like, something of that line. He drank nothing but water. Nothing no pleasant came to his mouth for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And he did this stuff repeatedly because he loved God, and he knew about fasting and praying, and he knew this was a way. Not only could he be desired by God, but that he would bless God. And that's what he told him. I know pleasant bread, right? I know desired. He gave up his desire, so he was desired by God. And Moses was desired by God. The great things that Moses was able to do through God. Crack open that rock so water come out. The incredible things that he was able to do. And, lifting his hands up and winning this war. Job as well, like I said, Job, had all this gloriful stuff. He gave praises to God. The devil told him that if you take this stuff away from him, he will not love you. And he took everything away from him. He got to the point where Job was living on the street. He was homeless. He was starving, and he'd worked, and he still praised God. He had nothing. He was sitting there starving at the point of fasting. He prayed to God, and God was like, he still desires me. He didn't love me just because he had this stuff. The devil wasn't right. He was wrong. He loved God because who God is, and God loved him and blessed him with things. He blessed him with all things, again, twice as much children, twice as much money and food and animals and all these things. Jesus, again, would go up there and pray every day. And look what Jesus was able to do. Just need to give that time to God. I'm not saying you have to fast, but give that time daily to Jesus. And, blessings will come, and you will bless God. And that's an incredible, truly good feeling. And just be like Daniel and Moses here. If you go in it, they failed. I mean, there's times they have failed. David had failed. Every person up here, Samson, Samuel, they all had failures in God, but in the end they did something that mattered, and Jesus still desired them, and he still loved them. He still loves everybody, and they did something that matters for God. That should be your ultimate goal. Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So I'll be doing 2 videos next week, and I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson that I put together for you, and that I was able to get some insight from some videos and stuff. But I'll see you guys next week. Hope you're all doing all well, and take it easy.